Hi, welcome back to video number 2 on overcoming anxiety. I'm George Swan, and today I'm going to continue to educate, inspire and support you in creating a lifestyle free from anxiety. Due to exposure from the media, from the news, over time people have tended to focus on the worst case scenario. And this type of thinking always jump into the worst case for future events that are coming up, job interviews, parties, events. That type of thinking creates anxiety. Now that we've gone through the AWARE principle in video number 1 and how to use the AWARE principle to control anxiety when it comes up for us. So if you haven't seen that, go back, have a look at video number 1 so you can learn how to quickly control anxiety when it comes up for you. Today our focus is going to be on our thoughts, on our thinking patterns, so that we become more aware on the triggers that will trigger anxiety, and this will lead us to having more control over our mind. Before we begin, I just want to say thank you for all the comments and questions. Now, when it comes to hypnosis, hypnotherapy, trance, there are common questions that people ask all the time. And one of the biggest questions that people ask is, can I be hypnotized? And it's a fair question. Now, if you look at some institutions such as Harvard University, Stanford University, they have a hypnotizability scale. So generally, to make things really simple, there's about 10-20% of people that are highly hypnotizable. There's 10-20% that are hard to hypnotize, and everyone else is in between. So basically it's a trait. Some people can be hypnotized quickly, some people take a little bit longer. Now when it comes to practical application in a clinical setting like this, what I found is generally everyone can be hypnotized. There's just some can go quickly into trance, others take a little bit longer. But generally most people can be hypnotized. Now we're going to do a few fun little exercises just so you can see that there are processes in the mind that we have control over, and there's some that we don't control. So one of the things that we don't control is there's a part of us, the unconscious mind, and its ability to process language, for example. So one of the things that we can do in hypnosis, in trance, is to embed some type of suggestions into the unconscious mind, even though you might consciously be resisting that. So one example I can give you is, let's do a little exercise now. So I'm going to tell you now not to do something. And you're going to notice that even though consciously we try not to do it, it's going to happen anyway because it's processed through the unconscious mind. Okay, you ready? Don't think of a stop sign. Don't think of a red traffic light. Don't think of a green traffic light. Don't think of a pink elephant. Don't think of a blue tree. Now, like all people, including myself, we all will think about those items that I said. That's because the unconscious mind is a lot quicker than the conscious mind, and will process language and will create that imagery for you. So even though you were told not to do it, you still did it. And that's one of the techniques that we can use in trance to embed suggestions into the unconscious mind. Another little fun exercise we can do. So to do this exercise, simply, whenever you're ready, close your eyes. I want you to imagine that you're sitting at a table. Maybe your kitchen table at home, or maybe just something you come up with now in your imagination, that's fine. I want you to imagine that you're looking down through your eyes while you're sitting on that table, and in front of you on that table is a cutting board. Now I want you to grab that knife, cut that lemon in half, grab a piece of that juicy lemon, and now bite into it. And just suck on that tangy juice and feel that juice flowing over your tongue. And some people get a sensation on the tongue or the back of the mouth, or you might feel some saliva flowing as you bite into that tangy, sour, juicy lemon. And open your eyes. Okay, so when I do that exercise with my clients here, most people just about everyone says to me they can see the visual elements in their mind's eye. So it probably was the same for you. Now, for a certain percentage of people, roughly works out to be about 50% of people that I've done this exercise with here in my clinic, they get a sensation on the tongue or they feel saliva flowing. So that's an example of where we're using very light trance that wasn't anything deep, and for a lot of people they'll get a physical sensation, a chemical reaction in the mouth to a thought that was created in their imagination. So again, it just goes to show our thoughts can affect our body. So whether you're thinking about some type of food, and if you didn't get that, you didn't get a sensation from that exercise, it's okay. If we had time, we could probably do some other exercises and you'll probably respond to one of those. But we're keeping that here simple for the most common exercises that people respond to. So I hope you found those 2 little fun exercises insightful. Hope you learned something about yourself in doing that little exercise. Now the second most common question we get asked is, does it work? Does hypnotherapy work? And when it comes to hypnosis, hypnotherapy, these are just tools. These are the delivery mechanism for which we're transferring the new ways of thinking, the new patterns. So think of it as simply just a delivery mechanism from my clients that come here that see me in my clinic, or the ones that purchase my online courses. Most people either get the outcome that they're after or they get a partial outcome. So generally, it's not a question, does it work? It's going to be a question of how well is it going to work. So the only true way to know if something's going to work for you, because it's slightly different from you to the next person, to the next person, to the next person, is to actually try it and give it a shot. Now, when it comes to anxiety, one of the biggest thinking patterns that causes a lot of anxiety for a lot of people is worst case thinking, catastrophizing, where people jump to the worst case in a given situation. Now, let's do a little exercise on how to clear up a thought that keeps ruminating, maybe about the worst case. If you have something that you're going through now, we can use that. Or if you don't have anything now, maybe think of a time in the past when you were catastrophizing, you were thinking the worst. Maybe it could be when someone didn't return your phone call, or when you're getting a test at the doctors, or when you're going for an interview. Just a typical situation, a typical time where in the past you were doing the worst case thinking, just so we can do it with this exercise, so you can just see how you can get some quick relief from breaking that pattern of thinking. Okay, so pick something now, and whenever you're ready, close your eyes. That's it. This little exercise, we need you to close your eyes. So whenever you're ready, close your eyes. I want you to imagine that you're walking into a gallery, and in front of you can see a large wall, and hanging on that wall is a picture of that worst case scenario. And I want you to put a frame around that picture, and if it's an image or if it's a video, make the image black and white, make the video black and white of that worst case. And what I want you to do is I want you to make that frame smaller, so reduce it in size and maybe even push it away. See it move off into the distance, because this is your imagination and you can do whatever you want in your imagination. And just notice as you make that worst case smaller and as you push it away, it has less impact on you. And now maybe look over to your right and see another picture, and see this picture as the best case. So this will be the opposite of the worst case. So if, for example, you're thinking that you're going for an interview and they're not going to like you, you're not going to get the job, the opposite would be they're going to like you, they're going to love you, and you're going to get the job. So it'll be totally opposite. So you want to see that in your mind's eye, see it as a picture, and make that picture, make it bigger, make it brighter, make it colorful. And again, notice if when you make it bigger, when you make it brighter and colorful, and you're playing the scenario that you want, you probably feel better. You probably start to feel better. And now, imagine that there's all these other paintings. Literally there's hundreds of paintings now hanging on that wall. And these other paintings, they represent other possibilities of what might happen. The realistic thoughts, true life, vivid, carefully painted. Hopeful thoughts, over there. A whole gallery of possibilities, where that worst case thought is just one small, thin picture hanging on the wall. Hanging on the wall with thousands of possibilities. Hundreds and thousands of possibilities. That's it. And now, open your eyes. Okay, so hopefully now, for most of you, if you were feeling anxious prior to doing this little exercise, you probably feel a lot more calm, more control, and you probably notice a small release, probably in the solar plexus. Okay, so you can open your eyes if you haven't yet. So that concludes the exercise. Now, to do that little exercise, to get that little release, that relief from that worst case thinking, you actually have to do it consciously. You have to think about it, you have to run through that little exercise in your mind consciously. But wouldn't it be great if you could do this automatically without having to think about it? I've created an online self-hypnosis course that you can go through that will embed this type of thinking into the unconscious mind. So you just do it naturally without having to think about it. I hope this video has helped you. If it has, please leave a comment below, or if you have any questions, leave your questions in the comment area and I'll get back to you shortly. Keep an eye out for video number 3 on overcoming anxiety, and remember, trust your gut, do the things that make you feel most alive, and stay positive. Thank you.